The Whispering Valley. Far away, in a land where the sky was always soft and the air was filled with whispers, there was a place called the Whispering Valley. It was a vast, tranquil valley, bathed in the gentle glow of twilight, where the world seemed to hold its breath. The grass was emerald green, swaying softly in the breeze, and the star-bloom flowers glowed like tiny moons, their light pulsing gently. A grove of ancient whispering trees stood tall, their silvery moss shimmering in the faint light, and a singing stream ran through the valley, its crystal water sparkling like liquid stars. In the heart of the valley was a meadow of dream orbs, glowing spheres that floated just above the ground, each one holding a soft, warm light. This valley was nestled within a misty forest of tall evergreen trees, where soft fog curled around the trunks, and dappled sunlight filtered through the branches, casting golden patches on the ground. This is the story of the Whispering Valley, a tale to carry you into sleep. Chapter 1: The Heart of the Valley. The Whispering Valley stretched wide and open, its edges framed by gentle hills that glowed in the twilight. The air was cool and smelled of fresh grass and pine, a scent that made everything feel calm and safe. The emerald grass swayed like waves on a quiet sea, each blade catching the light of the star-bloom flowers that dotted the valley. The flowers were small, their petals white and soft, glowing with a light that seemed to hum, a sound so gentle it was like a whisper in the wind. They grew in clusters, their glow lighting up the grass around them, creating patches of light that looked like stars fallen to earth. In the center of the valley ran the singing stream, its water so clear you could see the smooth pebbles at the bottom, each one round and polished by the flow. The stream's song was soft and steady, a melody that sounded like a lullaby, as if the water itself was singing the valley to sleep. Tiny fish swam in the stream, their scales catching the twilight, flashing silver and blue as they darted in lazy circles. Along the banks of the stream, small frogs sat on smooth stones, their eyes like shiny beads, croaking softly in time with the water's song. The sound of the stream and the frogs blended together, creating a harmony that filled the valley with peace. A deer stepped carefully through the grass, its antlers catching the light of the star-bloom flowers. It lowered its head to nibble on the grass, its movements slow and graceful, as if it didn't want to disturb the valley's calm. Nearby, a rabbit hopped between the flowers, its ears twitching as it listened to the stream's song. The rabbit paused to look at the sky, where the first stars were beginning to appear, their light mixing with the glow of the flowers below. The valley felt alive, but in a quiet way, as if every creature and plant was part of the same gentle dream. The valley was wrapped in a misty forest of tall evergreen trees, their needles dark green and soft, their trunks covered in moss that glowed faintly in the twilight. Soft fog curled around the trees, its tendrils weaving through the branches, creating a veil that made the valley feel hidden and safe. Dappled sunlight filtered through the branches, casting golden patches on the ground, where tiny flowers grew, their petals closed for the night. The air in the forest was cool and damp, filled with the scent of pine and earth, and the sound of the trees whispering to each other, their leaves rustling softly in the breeze. Chapter 2: The Grove of Whispering Trees. At the edge of the valley stood the grove of ancient whispering trees, their trunks wide and strong, their branches stretching high into the sky. The trees were covered in silvery moss that shimmered like liquid moonlight, and their leaves were a deep green, rustling softly even when there was no wind. The trees seemed to speak, not with words, but with feelings: calm, peace, rest. Their whispers were like a warm breeze, wrapping around everything in the grove, making the air feel soft and safe. A fox curled up at the base of one of the trees, its fur red as embers, its eyes half closed as it listened to the whispers. "This is a good place to rest," the fox said, its voice slow and kind, as if it was already half asleep. The fox's tail wrapped around its body, and it let out a soft sigh, the sound blending with the rustling leaves. Nearby, a squirrel scampered up a tree, its tiny claws gripping the bark, carrying a pine cone to its nest. The squirrel paused to look at the valley below, its eyes bright with the glow of the star-bloom flowers, before disappearing into the branches. The ground beneath the trees was covered in a carpet of soft moss, cool and damp underfoot. Tiny mushrooms grew among the moss, their caps glowing faintly, like little lanterns in the twilight. A hedgehog shuffled through the moss, its spines catching the light, searching for a cozy spot to rest. It found a hollow between two roots, where the moss was thickest, and curled up into a ball, its breathing slow and steady. The grove was quiet, except for the whispers of the trees and the soft sounds of the creatures settling down for the night. The sunlight that filtered through the evergreen branches above cast golden beams that danced on the moss, creating patterns that shifted and swayed. The fog in the forest seemed to glow where the sunlight touched it, creating a soft, golden haze that wrapped around the grove. The air was filled with the scent of pine and moss, a smell that made everything feel grounded and calm. The whispering trees stood like guardians, their branches swaying gently, as if they were rocking the valley to sleep. Chapter 3: The Meadow of Dream Orbs. Beyond the grove, the valley opened into the Meadow of Dream Orbs, a place where glowing spheres floated just above the grass. The dream orbs were soft and warm, their light a gentle gold, like the glow of a candle in a dark room. They drifted slowly, bobbing up and down as if carried by an invisible breeze, their light casting a soft glow over the meadow. The grass here was even softer than in the rest of the valley, like a velvet blanket, and the air was filled with a faint hum, a sound that seemed to come from the orbs themselves. A butterfly with wings dusted in twilight landed on a blade of grass, its colors blending with the glow of the orbs. "This meadow holds dreams," the butterfly said, its voice soft and slow, as if it was speaking from a dream itself. "Lie here, and you'll feel them." The butterfly folded its wings and seemed to sleep, its body rising and falling with each breath. The dream orbs floated closer, their light warm and inviting, and the hum grew a little louder, a melody that felt like a hug. The meadow was surrounded by the misty forest, where the tall evergreen trees stood like silent sentinels, their branches heavy with needles that caught the last of the sunlight. The fog curled through the meadow, its tendrils soft and cool, mixing with the golden light of the orbs to create a glow that felt magical. Tiny fireflies began to appear, their lights blinking slowly, like stars that had come down to play. They danced around the dream orbs, their movements slow and graceful, as if they were part of the meadow's dream. The air in the meadow was filled with the scent of wildflowers and mist, a smell that made everything feel fresh and calm. The dream orbs seemed to pulse with light, each one telling a story of peace and rest, their hum a lullaby that wrapped around the meadow. The butterfly stirred for a moment, its wings fluttering softly, before settling back into its sleep. The meadow felt like a cradle, holding everything gently, its glow a promise of sweet dreams. Chapter 4: The Singing Stream's Bend. The singing stream flowed through the meadow, curving gently around a bend where the water slowed and widened into a shallow pool. The pool was surrounded by smooth stones, each one polished by the water, glowing faintly in the twilight. The water here was even clearer than before, reflecting the dream orbs and the stars above like a perfect mirror. The stream's song was softer at the bend, a gentle murmur that seemed to whisper secrets of the valley, its melody blending with the hum of the dream orbs. A turtle sat on one of the stones, its shell shining in the light of the orbs. "This pool is a place of calm," the turtle said, its voice slow and deep, as if it had all the time in the world. "The water listens to the valley's dreams." The turtle dipped its head into the pool, taking a slow sip, before settling back onto the stone, its eyes closing as it hummed along with the stream. Tiny fish swam in the pool, their bodies flashing silver as they moved, their movements slow and peaceful, like a dance with the water. The fog from the forest drifted over the pool, its tendrils curling over the water, creating a soft veil that made the pool feel hidden and safe. The sunlight filtering through the evergreen branches above cast golden flecks on the water, each one sparkling like a tiny star. The air was filled with the scent of water and moss, a smell that made everything feel clean and calm. The stream's song seemed to grow softer, as if it was singing the pool to sleep, its melody a gentle wave that washed over the valley. The turtle began to hum a little louder, its voice blending with the stream's song, creating a harmony that filled the air. The fish in the pool swam in slow circles, their movements matching the rhythm of the song, as if they were listening too. The dream orbs floated closer to the pool, their light reflecting on the water, creating patterns that danced and swirled. The pool felt like a heart of the valley, a place where the stream's song and the orb's hum came together, their music a lullaby that carried the valley deeper into peace. Chapter 5: The Hill of Twilight Breezes. The stream led out of the meadow and toward a small hill that rose gently from the valley floor. This was the Hill of Twilight Breezes, a place where the air was always moving, carrying soft breezes that smelled of flowers and pine. The hill was covered in soft grass, dotted with star-bloom flowers that glowed brighter here than anywhere else in the valley. The breezes seemed to sing as they blew, their song a gentle whistle that mixed with the rustling of the grass, creating a melody that felt like a whisper of the night. A hare sat on the hill, its ears long and soft, twitching as it listened to the breezes. "This hill is a place of song," the hare said, its voice quick but kind. "The breezes carry the valley's peace." The hare hopped through the grass, pausing to nibble on a star-bloom flower, its light casting a glow on the hare's fur. The breezes blew gently, lifting the grass in waves, and the flowers seemed to dance, their glow pulsing in time with the wind's song. The fog from the forest wrapped around the base of the hill, its tendrils soft and cool, mixing with the golden light of the sunlight filtering through the evergreen branches above. The air on the hill was fresh and clean, filled with the scent of grass and flowers, a smell that made everything feel light and calm. The breezes seemed to carry the scent with them, spreading it across the hill, as if they were painting the air with peace. The star-bloom flowers glowed brighter with each breeze, their light a soft beacon in the twilight. The hare began to hum, its voice blending with the breezes, creating a harmony that filled the hill with music. The grass swayed in time with the song, its movements slow and graceful, like a dance with the wind. The hill felt like a lookout, a place where the valley's beauty could be seen in all its glory, its song a melody that carried the valley deeper into rest. The breezes seemed to wrap around the hill, their touch gentle and cool, as if they were tucking the valley in for the night. Chapter 6: The Grove of Glowing Ferns. The breezes led back into the misty forest, where the evergreen trees grew closer together, their branches forming a canopy that let only a little sunlight through. Here, in a hidden corner of the forest, was the Grove of Glowing Ferns, a place where ferns grew tall and wide, their fronds glowing with a soft green light. The ferns were delicate, their leaves curling gently at the edges, and their glow seemed to pulse, like a heartbeat in the forest. The air was cool and damp, filled with the scent of earth and ferns, a smell that made everything feel grounded and safe. A mouse scampered through the ferns, its tiny body weaving between the fronds, its eyes bright with the glow of the ferns. "This grove is a place of light," the mouse squeaked, its voice high and soft. "The ferns hold the forest's magic." The mouse paused to nibble on a fern leaf, its glow casting a green light on the mouse's fur. The ferns seemed to hum, their light pulsing in time with the sound, a melody that felt like a whisper of the forest's heart. The fog in the grove was thicker here, its tendrils curling around the ferns, creating a soft veil that made the grove feel hidden and safe. The sunlight filtering through the branches above cast golden beams that danced on the ferns, their glow mixing with the green light to create a magical shimmer. The air was filled with the sound of the ferns' hum and the rustling of the evergreen needles above, a harmony that filled the grove with peace. The ferns seemed to sway, as if they were dancing to their own song, their movements slow and graceful. The mouse curled up at the base of a fern, its body nestled in the soft fronds, and began to snore softly, a tiny sound that blended with the fern's hum. The grove felt like a sanctuary, a place where the forest's magic came to rest, its glow a promise of safety and calm. The ferns seemed to wrap around the grove, their light a gentle blanket that covered everything, as if they were guarding the forest's dreams. The air was cool and still, the grove a quiet heart in the misty forest. Chapter 7: The Starbloom Clearing. The forest opened into a small clearing where the starbloom flowers grew in a perfect circle, their glow brighter here than anywhere else in the valley. This was the Starbloom Clearing, a place where the flowers seemed to shine with the light of the stars themselves, their petals white and soft, their centers glowing with a golden light. The clearing was surrounded by tall evergreen trees, their branches heavy with needles that caught the dappled sunlight, casting golden flecks on the flowers below. The fog curled around the edges of the clearing, its tendrils soft and cool, creating a veil that made the clearing feel magical. A butterfly with wings of twilight blue landed on a starbloom flower, its wings folding as it rested. "This clearing is a place of light," the butterfly said, its voice soft and slow. "The star blooms hold the valley's glow." The butterfly sipped nectar from the flower, its movements slow and careful, as if it didn't want to disturb the clearing's peace. The starbloom flowers seemed to hum, their light pulsing in time with the sound, a melody that felt like a song of the stars. The air in the clearing was filled with the scent of flowers and mist, a smell that made everything feel fresh and calm. The sunlight filtering through the branches above cast golden beams that danced on the flowers, their glow mixing with the golden light to create a shimmer that filled the clearing. The fog seemed to glow where the sunlight touched it, creating a soft, golden haze that wrapped around the star blooms. The flowers seemed to shine brighter with each beam, their light a beacon in the twilight. The butterfly began to hum, its voice blending with the starbloom's song, creating a harmony that filled the clearing with music. The flowers swayed gently, as if they were dancing to the song, their movements slow and graceful. The clearing felt like a heart of the valley, a place where the starbloom's light and the forest's magic came together, their song a lullaby that carried the valley deeper into peace. The air was cool and still, the clearing a glowing jewel in the misty forest. Chapter 8: The Whispering Cliff. The clearing led to a path that wound through the forest and up to a cliff overlooking the valley. This was the Whispering Cliff, a place where the wind blew gently, carrying whispers that seemed to come from the valley itself. The cliff was made of smooth stone, its surface covered in patches of moss that glowed faintly in the twilight. The edge of the cliff looked out over the valley, where the emerald grass, the starbloom flowers, the singing stream, and the meadow of dream orbs could be seen, all glowing softly under the purple and blue sky. A hawk perched on the edge of the cliff, its feathers dark against the glowing moss, its eyes sharp but kind. "This cliff is a place of echoes," the hawk said, its voice strong but gentle. "The wind carries the valley's whispers." The hawk spread its wings and let out a soft call, the sound echoing through the valley below, coming back as a gentle whisper. The wind blew gently, lifting the moss in waves, and the whispers seemed to dance, their song a melody that felt like a breath of the night. The fog from the forest curled around the base of the cliff, its tendrils soft and cool, mixing with the golden light of the sunlight filtering through the evergreen branches above. The air on the cliff was fresh and clean, filled with the scent of moss and pine, a smell that made everything feel light and calm. The whispers seemed to carry the scent with them, spreading it across the cliff, as if they were painting the air with peace. The moss glowed brighter with each breeze, its light a soft glow in the twilight. The hawk began to hum, its voice blending with the whispers, creating a harmony that filled the cliff with music. The wind blew in time with the song, its movements slow and graceful, like a dance with the valley. The cliff felt like a lookout, a place where the valley's beauty could be heard in all its glory, its song a melody that carried the valley deeper into rest. The whispers seemed to wrap around the cliff, their touch gentle and cool, as if they were tucking the valley in for the night. Chapter 9: The Moonlit Glade. The path from the cliff led back down into the forest, where the trees opened into a small glade bathed in moonlight. This was the moonlit glade, a place where the moonlight seemed to gather, its light pooling on the ground like liquid silver. The glade was surrounded by tall evergreen trees, their branches heavy with needles that caught the moonlight, casting silver flecks on the ground. The fog curled through the glade, its tendrils soft and cool, mixing with the moonlight to create a glow that felt magical. A deer stood in the center of the glade, its antlers catching the moonlight, its eyes soft and calm. "This glade is a place of light," the deer said, its voice slow and gentle. "The moonlight rests here." The deer lowered its head to nibble on the grass, its movements slow and graceful, as if it was part of the glade's glow. The grass in the glade was soft and silver, glowing faintly with the moonlight, and the air was filled with a faint hum, a sound that seemed to come from the light itself. The air in the glade was filled with the scent of pine and mist, a smell that made everything feel fresh and calm. The moonlight seemed to pulse with light, each beam telling a story of peace and rest, its hum a lullaby that wrapped around the glade. The fog seemed to glow where the moonlight touched it, creating a soft, silver haze that wrapped around the trees. The glade felt like a heart of the forest, a place where the moonlight came to rest, its glow a promise of sweet dreams. The deer began to hum, its voice blending with the moonlight's song, creating a harmony that filled the glade with music. The grass swayed gently, as if it was dancing to the song, its movements slow and graceful. The glade felt like a cradle, holding everything gently, its glow a promise of peace and calm. The air was cool and still, the glade a glowing heart in the misty forest. Chapter 10: The Valley's Rest. The moonlight in the glade seemed to guide the valley into rest, its light spreading across the grass, the flowers, the stream, the meadow, the grove, the hill, the ferns, the clearing, and the cliff, until the entire valley was bathed in a soft, silver glow. The emerald grass stopped swaying, as if it was falling asleep, and the star-bloom flowers dimmed their glow, their petals closing for the night. The singing stream slowed its flow, its song growing softer, like a whisper in a dream. The dream orbs in the meadow floated lower, their light fading as they settled into the grass. The whispering trees in the grove stood still, their whispers growing fainter, as if they were drifting into sleep. The fog in the forest thickened, its tendrils wrapping around the evergreen trees, creating a soft blanket that covered the valley. The dappled sunlight faded as the twilight deepened, the sky turning a deep purple and blue, dotted with stars that twinkled like tiny lanterns. The valley was quiet, the only sounds the faint hum of the dream orbs and the soft whisper of the wind, a melody that carried the valley deeper into rest. The creatures of the valley settled down for the night, each one finding a cozy spot to sleep. The deer in the glade curled up in the grass, its antlers glowing faintly in the moonlight. The fox in the grove nestled deeper into the moss, its tail wrapping around its body. The turtle by the stream closed its eyes, its shell shining in the last of the twilight. The hare on the hill tucked itself into a burrow, its ears folding down as it slept. The mouse in the ferns, the butterfly in the clearing, the hawk on the cliff, all found their places, their breaths slow and steady, their dreams filled with the valley's peace. And as the valley slept, the moonlight kept watch, its light soft and steady. The world was still, the night was kind, and everything was at peace. The whispering valley rested, its beauty a quiet song that lived on in the dreams of those who called it home, a gentle story of twilight and whispers, carrying them deeper into sleep. The forest held the valley close, its fog a gentle blanket, its trees a silent guard, and the valley dreamed, its heart beating softly in the night. you.